Hello, YouTube. What is my generation in charge of? Okay, so let me repeat. Before this video, I am 30 years old. Literally, I repeat, I am 30 years old. So, what does that have to do with the millennial? Going on 2030. All the way to a point where you recognize where electronic electricity, technology, and a whole lot of other things that are going side to side. To why we now see robots in Call of Duty. Okay, so let's just be clear for this year. We are living in the year of 2025, but soon to be six. Probably less than just exactly 2 weeks. Okay, and so, what this is, all right, is I'm explaining that I grew up in the early 2000s. Now, technically, I was born in '95, but when it comes to everything, what was my era? My era was right after my brothers. Now, let's talk about good music because this topic for video, revolves around music. That I was talking to with my mother, about when C came out with Susie G High, if Michael Jackson was still making music, because I was interested because I was doing a point after point tutorial, and what I do is literally, I'm a famous rapper. A rapper say at least a rapper really isn't anything, to me, at least, once I know the whole story, your childhood, literally, I know fucking Taekwondo, literally, and being to me is like a fucking Superman. So anyway, what this is, okay, is I host, a cartoon, television, TV channel, program called Primo TV, that stars one of my favorite, cartoons of the early 2000s, Kolioka, back when it was all the way back in 2021, and made a thing called the Valentine's Day special, something, I used to be criticized that I couldn't, draw like anime style, because I was inspired by, Japanese anime. What I would do is I would draw the whole figures, like, I had this character that was based off Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this is very important, and his name was Vieto. And what Vieto was he's one character literally with a spike hanging out, and wearing kind of Japanese clothing, literally, I had the buns on, so I would draw, a full body, literally, instead of, the outlines, literally, and I would draw the rectangles first, literally, and then I put 3 circles, for the buttons. Literally, I just draw a circle for the head, and what I did, I took a bow tutorial, so I would draw one eye, and I would make another circle, literally, how you make the anime eyes. It's supposed to be at least, 5 and 1 was supposed to be shaded, right? So I did one on top of the other, literally put one dash and one on the bottom, literally did spike this there, and I called them Beardo. And Bakugan Battle Brothers, a hit early 2000s cartoon is not valid today because we live in a world where we can absorb, okay? So we live in a world where we can absorb, and people want to get away with, Digimon and Bakugan, really a lot computer generated things. Another good conversation that inspired this video was me and my brother Ultimate Ninja Storm. The second one that came out when I was in high school, which was the predecessor of Tekaichi. Educatedly, that's not the real definition, but let's be real. Let's not be gay for this video. Because when Storm 2 came along, it was the first Takeichi we could play online. Alright, so the first, major Dragon Ball Z game, the first major anime game in the early 2000s was Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. And when Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 came out, literally, it was another form of 3D fighting, but it had supports, okay? Literally, so when I was, young, because when Jason came over, I used, the shirt for Jason in multiple videos, literally, I was gonna wear, the cockhat, throughout the entire video, but it turns out, it literally turns out that my hair is just right for this video, so I'm adjusting it, okay? Anyway, aside from being that guy, literally, where I recognize is that I was a revolutionary because I played Ultimate Destroyer back when it was in its prime, and now I'm 30 years old. I became, one of the best. I won't say I'm the best, but the best rapper on the radio. Okay. Anyway, the reason why, this all has a collaboration is because I grew up, with Mario cartoons like Teen Titans, literally, where I figured out over time, to being, a kid that's under the influence, that by taking ecstasy pills, and being under the influence, but still, being an anime fan, where I wanted to go to school for, graphic design and drawing, right? Literally, I recognize a dark cartoon, that you're watching has, really, really, really big lighting, really, really, really HD, effects, and that is, similar to how ecstasy pill works. Every tell somebody a child has too much sugar, that's exactly the lesson. And I recognize that's not coincidence that they're actually referencing the gorillas, which is why they're so colorful, why they have so much HD. Okay. So that is really true. That was my research. Now let's tell you literally what it actually means. Because literally, when I say that literally, because the current Naruto Storm game today is Naruto Storm Connections, which is for literally toddlers, 3, and under, literally, they're not making, when I went to school and I watched anime, went hand in hand with adolescents, and there's a big There's a big, problem with that, because literally, if you're making something that's mature, you have to get past it. You have to learn how to draw for it. Literally, you're making it for only kids, zero, through seven. It's never evolving. Literally, when Naruto's a teenager himself, it goes to teenage struggles. Literally, like the hormones, the monster inside him. This, and that. Okay, let's move on. Literally, I had an uncle, literally, that passed away a couple years ago. That was just like, Uncle Arrow, from the Avatar. Literally, he contributed, a lot to my fame, because what happened, literally, when he dies, I started imitating him, right? And I said, Vegeta just as nuts. Literally, I was a big hit, to everybody with the war was still cringe. I just realized that, they started taking out my handouts and tutorials. Literally, there was one hit show called, Grossology, so what happened was Primo TV became the new version of Cartoon Network, but nobody wants to, talk about it, because Primo TV is, let me spanking, literally, and what I try to say, Cartoon Network. They even did, something for me called Checkerboard Pass on Cartoon Network when they started playing the old shows like Billy and Mandy. But guess what? They recognized they had mature adult jokes. Now you don't get Cartoon Network on the network at all, because the people of my generation were so fucked up they hold on to their cartoon more than reality. And when I got caught up with them, I could only fall back on my own genius. I couldn't fall back on them because they fell back on being popular. Like Jameson once signed his, a petition, literally, where he spent that guy in San Francisco. He didn't want to do everything that I did, literally, being held against, a bit without being high, which is my problem in the early 2000s. I was mid-tier in the rap league, but I wasn't mid-tier on paper because I was obsessed with somebody named Livingstone got that outstyle me because he took a cartoon more than anything, one of the big as Joey, Lily, who died during gang stalking, Lily saw my 1-year-old, Lily got thrown in the fucking ground, got anime crusted, tried to animate every single day until he lived in Cringe and Bakugan, okay? It's very true. My uncle Sonny was very similar to Uncle Jiraiya. Literally, he knew everything. Literally, he was a top martial artist. He loved Bruce Lee. I lived through his message. And there's a truth. Literally, when I started getting cause and effect, I recognized a whole lot of shit. I became a revolutionary because I was young when Eddie and Eddie came out. Was Eddie and Eddie now? I hit classic. Literally, must have sold the other end of the Beastie Boys. Now, this is very important because when music came out, is when robot rap was first introduced. Now everybody sounds like a robot. Get that? Literally, that's the key behind the early 2000s. Literally, I was a man of generation. When I went to school, there was this dark-skinned guy named Courtney. Literally, when I'm cool, all these celebrities like Vin Diesel, Lily The Rock, Lily this and that, they all had a Courtney. Literally, and Courtney is somebody who you fight when you're young, when you know how to fight, literally, and he's physically stronger than you, and he encloses, not a bigger statement, but a bigger statement when it comes to socializing when you're 3 years old. And what happened was, really, everyone, has a different, Courtney fight. I established I can hit him more times, but he established that he's going to, grapple me, literally, and that overall, the fight is going to end with power, literally. So, it could have gone, either way, so. Literally, that's the truth. Literally, and so what happened was, I grew up and he became my best friend. When I became a rapper on the radio, literally, I worked with the voice actor Goku Sean Sherbo. Literally, he started complaining in my studio because, literally, this is what people do with their, they have behind covers and come. Literally, your favorite, actors in Dragon Ball Z were rapists, literally, crack rapists, literally, fucking Christopher Sabat, literally, fucking Crip, literally, Sean, fucking Blood, literally, way worse, literally, this and that. And I knew Chris raped black woman, okay? Literally, the voice actor Vegeta raped black woman. Literally, he was white and he was ghetto as fuck. Literally, he was a blood before Crip. I knew all about that. Literally, literally, back in 2021, I got hit by a car. I knocked out 3 people. I killed 3 people with my bare fist when they tried to animate shit. Literally, and I live my life on Yu Yu Hakusho, okay? Literally, you see a bud described what he did right now. Literally, say, you're not a real person. Literally, you're somebody put back together. Literally, with my fucking magic, this, and that. Literally, but my heart is still beating. You understand? I'm a man of the early 2000s. Now, what is music today? Nothing but robot rap, nothing but computerized generation. Literally, and I grew up in a time where I was crazy. I had no girlfriends in high school. My generation relied on fake relationships and Photoshop, where I grew up with anime. So what happened was I gained a bid without being high problem. Literally, I bowed this guy named Sabadu, and I roared him with my flaws, like, whoa, 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 whoa. Literally, and he stopped, literally paused, didn't shoot the laughing taffy, literally ran over me with martial arts and then blew himself up, and I became a mainstream rapper. Literally, I had a little fucking problem in the early 2000s. So when I grew up, literally, I started watching all the sites life had me like Snoop Dogg, right? Literally, I became a man for a generation. I became mid-career family, started rapping for all the rappers, Where I brought James along, Courtney along, Robert Russo along. People used to make fun of me about kissing at my feet, literally. And what happened was they were so fucking deranged, so they thought they had a chance with my woman. They had a chance with my career. They thought I had a chance, of being a victim of domestic violence, of being everything, literally. But I came back, the police and said, wait, you expect them to do the same thing with me when I'm ghetto? I'm telling you, they all have roles to play. I'm putting them on because they're pretty, right? Why you make them go through the same shit? They already been to jail, okay? That's how I come out white people. Now, literally, this is very important because when I came out was when Chris Brown literally was hot, the newest thing in the street, literally, and T-Pain literally with his auto-tune was doing this and that, and my brother's generation was on my camera, literally, basketball rap, literally, fucking schooling rap, literally, sports rap, literally, you don't live without listening to Nas, literally, We studied this for our only bloods in school. We did this, all these big, organic statements on top of my moms in the 1970s. And what happened in their generation was, there's this guy named Gone, aka Country, right? Literally, and what he would do was, there's this thing called cause and effect in an autistic problem, right? Literally, what Gone would do was he would fall back on cause and effect when somebody would ask him to have an autistic problem, right? And he would call out what's real because gangsters go in between positions in society, which is why literally, the autistic complains because of a gangster, all right? Literally, they could have the same pain, but they know the ins and out in order to escape their personal problems. So what happened was they never put themselves in a position to face their family like me. And so I was in the studio whooping fucking 28-year-olds ass, whooping fucking 36-year-olds ass, whooping everybody's fucking ass in the company when I was fucking, 27, okay? All right, because they didn't want to pay attention. That's what happened to Roberto. Literally, he had one verse about me that defined why I was a mob boss. Well, I wanted to be a big rapper, while he was just a regular rapper holding on to Mystic. Literally, he had the sauciest Batman Beyond verse. Oh, I made closing statement here. Oh, I did this to a woman here. Literally, Roberto's been there staying on me for it. I haven't, literally. So guess what ends up happening? Literally, my verse is HD. It's Code Geass, right? Literally, it says, get the girl, get the girl, get the girl. Code Geass used to be gay, right? Literally, that's how much of a star I was. I was robbing. I became the next version of Eminem. I became, this and that. And what happened literally was, when I forced something organic to happen, people fell back on Dark which is an audio program that I have. So I had to hit Bruno, and I had to be like, yo, I'm making a Let You Speak It television so we can go back to the 1970s, because what happened was we should have flying cars by now, but we ever pushed out with the hoverboard, literally. So hip hop is a default still to this day, was my generation in charge of. My generation was in charge of expanding technology ever since the smartphone, and we didn't do that, all right? We didn't do that because of social media, because of all errors, all, misconception really of people, human beings, and mankind. All right, none of the people my generation should is real at all. When a real adult should be loved, actually being shy and literally things don't go into detail. Green tea, this and that, and they didn't want to do that. They took them being popular over reality. That was my generation after robot rap like T-Pain came out. All right, right after the 1970s. All right, so my brother's generation fucked up, but my generation is super fucked up. But I support me and my Courtney. Represent why I was the last of our organic generation versus the bird to today. Okay, so I'm gonna short that up, but I'm gonna go right down. I have none to prove to people. If you don't believe it by now, I'm gonna end this video.